Now we have less than 2 weeks left in the high school football season, and they often lead to hopes of competing in the playoffs, senior nights, and homecoming. But for one Akron high school, all of it came to a sudden end.
Administrators and coaches at Akron North High School made the difficult decision to end their football season early because of a shortage of healthy players. News 5's Jordan Vandenberg explains why.
The Akron North Vikings should be doing walkthroughs. They should be excited for homecoming and senior night. They should be looking to end their season with victories, but they won't. And for Coach Doug Miller,
definitely not what we had hoped for.
And Athletic Director Carrie Stewart.
And we were just watching, week after week, our numbers dwindle.
That's the hardest part.
That's definitely one of the toughest things to have to do, making a decision and breaking the news. Two things you don't ever want to have to do as a head coach.
The Vikings began the season with less than 30 players. However, week by week, the injuries continued to pile up, whittling the roster down to barely more than a dozen. Those still healthy enough to suit up had to play offense and defense and special teams. After last week's game, the roster had met its breaking point, and safety was paramount.
I can't look at a parent after we put a kid on the field and they're not prepared to be there and tell them that's why their kid got hurt. We had to make the best decision for the athletes.
We weren't doing them any good service by keeping them on the field for 48 minutes.
In the end, Coach Miller says it was a decision that they didn't want to make, but instead it was a decision that they had to make. And consequently, now leaves their opponents scrambling to fill open dates on their schedule.
We definitely want to try to fill it. Week 10 is a tough one, but we're going to try our best.
Mike DeFalco, the athletic director of Akron Garfield, has been on the phone trying to throw a Hail Mary to find an opponent for his team's final game, which is also their senior night.
This was very common during COVID, through football and basketball season especially. This was like an every week thing, but it was a little bit easier to find opponents because everybody in the state was dealing with it.
You feel bad for your seniors that, they've only been with me for a year, but they've been here for 4. They don't get to finish their last 2 games, and this was our homecoming and our senior night.
They should be practicing, but instead the field is empty, and soon their lockers will be too. And Stewart says sometimes the difficult choice is also the right one.
And I just don't want it to send the message to them that we're giving up on this. We're not. We're just going to regroup in 30 days and start over for next year.
In Akron, Jordan Vandenberg, News 5.